So we're live. Welcome to our Pacific Rim US stand-up. Me here, it's Patrick. So Patrick, tell us what you've been doing.
Okay, so I reviewed, Friday I had a Asia team meeting and went over some questions. I reviewed PRs from both Mega and Sanja, put comments in. Also on Saturday or Sunday, I spent some time. Mega was struggling to get with the tab. I don't know if you saw her comment, but she's actually going to go on the agency homepage. She's going to have a tab structure for all agent. Did you see that?
I didn't saw it, but I saw the comments on it.
Okay, yeah. So she was having trouble getting that to work. She was using jQuery directly, so I played with using Bootstrap tabs, and I got it to work. And so I posted some information to her directly on Slack. I haven't heard from her in the meantime. This week she's in physical therapy during the time frame that we have our meetings, so it may be difficult to get a hold of her. I answered some questions from Arun as well. He's got an assigned task, which I think is, I forget which one it is, but anyway, he had some questions as to how it's supposed to work. And I created a couple of new stories this morning. One is 399, which is a job seeker applying to the same job more than once. And the other was 400, which is tracking state changes, which that one I want to review with you after our Scrum real quickly.
Okay.
Make sure you're okay with that too. And that's it for me, no blockers.
Okay, so during the weekend, I created the, sorry? You're still, have you finished?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I just heard something. Okay, so during the weekend, I created the PR for the end of the sprint, and I merged it for both of them, and basically that was it. I think I merged another PR as well, and that's it.
Okay.
Okay, so what did you want to
So
show?
I'd like to look at tracker or waffle number 400. I'll just let you read it rather than me explain it. It's pretty straightforward.
Can you repeat, please, the number?
400, 400.
00. Okay. Okay. 400. Do we want to go through this right now?
Well, I thought if you could just read it, or do you want me to talk to it?
No, I just read it.
You do.
What I was asking about the ticket. If we do want to go through this rabbit hole right now.
Oh, the problem is we already have problems. We're just using the updated app for the entity itself, and the state of the entity can change, irrespective of anything else changing. So we've already got bugs in the system because we're not doing this right now.
The problem that I see here is that if we start doing this, if we start it's going to start the work for reporting and auditing and everything.
Well, it's not really reporting.
That's my question. Do we want to start this work now?
Well, two things. One, we've already got real-time views will break when we start moving to different states. Yeah, we're showing using the updated app timestamp. we're showing that we accepted this job application at this time. Well, the job application is now actually has moved on to not accepted or whatever. So it's incorrect logic. I think the other thing is, with respect to Chet's comment about I'd like to see kind of the history of the job seeker, that they submitted an application, they accepted an application, or the company accepted an application, etc. We're going to need state change history to do that correctly. So that's just all real-time UI updates, not reporting or anything else. This particular mechanism is a very simple thing. It's just state change that is changed to, which is in the string, which we can convert back to a symbol to find the actual state for code logic purposes, and the timestamp of the change when the change occurred. So very straightforward. I mean, I'm open to the ideas. I just don't know of any other general, simple way to do this, to solve these problems right now, other than something like this.
So this is specifically for the application?
Well, we have the problem in jobs as well. We want to track state changes for jobs and job applications. And I think eventually we're going to have to use this for job seekers. Maybe not for MVP. But as you know,
what I say here is that we cannot save just the state change to. My problem is that we are starting to do assumptions and do things adding into the audit part, and I don't think we have enough information for that. And currently, if we are tracking changes on job applications, you only change the job application if you change a state of the job application. There is no other reason for you to update a job application, I think. I don't think so. And for the job itself, the only issue here is the jobs if you change descriptions in the middle, somewhere in between status changes. Yes, that will be a problem. But do we need to change the last? Does it really matter when was last changed the state of the job itself, or does it make more sense to have a change when the last time the job changed with any change? Because what I see, the problem what I see with this state change is that it's very restrictive, and we are missing here the from state. And are the states going to be what, strings? What if we change the string name? For some reason, there's a string that changes. Will that break the previous states that we have there?
Well, this really is to portray history of prior status or state. If we change a string associated with a particular state, well, that I don't see that as being a problem, because we're just using this for displaying history. So the example that I showed here is, this is a view of a job, and for the job, all the applications for the job. And the applications are shown with a column called the applied timestamp. And when we change, right now, we are changing status to not accepted or whatever. All of a sudden, we're still calling the updated at timestamp and associating with the applied state. So we've already got problems here.
But are we going to change the? Let's imagine that we apply to um, a job. Are we going to change the application? And for example, does it make sense to have an application date when you applied and when you were rejected or were accepted?
Sure.
Are we going to show this on the on any page?
Well, we're already showing one thing. The applied, the
We are
date.
showing the current, right? The last time that was changed, something changed.
We're showing the updated at for the application.
We are showing the updated that
When we display the job applications for a particular job.
so in that we'll have the date where the last status change happened, state change happened.
Well, when that applied state goes to not accepted, the current display still shows that updated at timestamp, which is now moved forward, and assigns it to when the applied state happened, not the not accepted state change. That's just an example. We probably have other examples.
I'm not following you.
So that table, the example in the story, for each application, we're going through and say, here's the, let's see, what are we doing? The name, the name, I guess that's the title of the job, or maybe that's the company. We're showing job seeker status, and we're showing application status. But we're using the updated at timestamp of the job application model. When
So-
the applied state changes to not accepted, we're still calling that updated at
Yes.
timestamp for the applied state.
For the applied state.
Yeah, because we only have.
That's what I'm not following, because the thing is we are displaying the current state of a specific application, right? That's what we're showing there,
Right.
correct? Okay.
Yep.
So if we applied, we created the application, so the update at it's going to be the creation date, correct?
The creation of the job application.
When you apply to a job, the update at it's going to be equal to the create at, and it's going to be when you apply to the job, and you
Yep.
show the state and the date where you apply.
Yep.
Okay. So if you are accepted or rejected, that table will change and will say that you were accepted or rejected to the job, right?
Right. So that is
at
does. Mm-hmm.
should be the date where you changed your state from one to another, to accepted or rejected.
Well, right now the view just says the column name is applied. That's the applied state. That's when it happened. It's not saying. So you're arguing that we change the column to stay current state rather than applied.
Does it make sense? The question is, does it make sense to have a date there? That's what are we trying to display there?
Well, in this case, we're trying to display the time for when the job application occurred. We may have another column that says, current state right next to the applied state, and that could be accepted, not accepted, etc. And that would be a different timestamp.
Do you have the screen there in front of you?
The particular screen, no, but I could certainly get it up here.
So for that specifically, we can solve it pretty quickly, because the creation date is a date where you apply to a job. It's the first state of that application.
Well, now we're making assumptions.
No, we're not.
making assumptions.
No, we're not making assumptions, because you only create the object job application when you apply to a job.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? So if you apply to a job, if you create the object, so the create at, it's going to be the date where you created the job. the
Mm-hmm.
job application, right? My question is,
Yep. Yep.
what do we want to display there? What does make sense to display there in terms of dates on that table? Is it the date where you applied, or the date where you had the latest interaction with your job application? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Or it could be both. I mean, I don't know.
We have both the dates currently on the model, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now we have lost state change history, and I don't think it'll be very long before we get bit by not having that. We already encountered it with Chet on Friday. He basically was saying, I'd like to know the history of this job seeker. And you pointed out, well, he could accept the job, he could be at the job for a month, and now he's back in the job pool, so he's looking for another job. So that Chet was basically saying, I'd like to see the history of what we've done for this job seeker.
Yes, but the jobs, that's not what I'm asking. Let's go back to the beginning. Do we want to start doing auditing things at this point?
I don't know. No, probably not. But I'm not talking auditing. I'm
Yes,
just
yes, you are, because we're talking about a table that shows the application to a job, right? So there's a relationship, a direct relationship, one to one, between a job seeker and a job,
right.
right? So that job application, from the moment you create it until you are accepted or rejected, it's going to be there. So if you apply to, unless you try to apply again to the same job, but I believe we have that solved. Uh, when you try to apply to a job, that application will stay there, right?
Um,
The only issue that I see here is that if you apply to the job A, if you get accepted, if you the same application needs to be the same application. If we allow them to revert the the application from accepted to applied, and then if we allow them to move again forward, then we lose the state. But
well, this is implicit upon our state being very simple. State machine, very very simple. It's just it goes from null to applied to accepted or not accepted. Our state changes are going to grow, right?
yeah, but are they going to? My question is, we currently, I think we have a lot of things to do, and I'm not sure if we want to start doing this right now. To understand, I'm not saying that this is not needed. I'm not saying that because I know we need that. I'm trying to understand if this is something that we really need to start doing now.
Well, for instance, right now we either need to fix. Let's say we don't do it. We need to go in and fix this particular view code that I posted, and we're going to have to go through the system as well and see where else we're vulnerable to this. This view code assumes we have one timestamp. The job application is always in the applied state, so we just use the updated at every single time. I think we've probably got that problem in some other views. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. I would imagine we do. I'm saying, well, let's just go ahead and put a generic, and by the way, this story is just to build the model. It's not to implement it, not to fix these issues, not to actually use it yet, but it's just to build the model so we have it at our disposal when we need it. This particular view we're looking at in the story is broken. It's buggy. It's got to be changed somehow. If we don't do this, then we'll have to do something else, like detect the status before we name the column, which I think is really ugly, actually. But anyway, we've got a problem, and I think holding off, we're going to create so many more workarounds to fix these kind of problems that we're looking at right here in this story, that let's just fix it correctly.
So what you're saying is that we don't need to implement it now, but we needed it implemented now because you want to show it in the view. So we'll have to implement everything now.
I'm saying if we have this mechanism built, then the way I would fix this problem in the view code that we're looking at in the story, which is broken, it needs a story to fix this. We will go in and we will use the state change table to find out when was the job application created, when was it applied to, and we'll use that timestamp. That's all I need to do there. Otherwise, I'll have to go in and say, okay, this job application, what's the current status? Is it active? which translates into applied in our world, in which case I can rely upon the updated app. Has it moved to accepted or not accepted? Then in the applied column, if I keep that, I'll just have to say unknown or something, or leave it blank. I don't know. I see we get into all these issues here if we don't have a very simple state change history.
I think we're trying, we are overcomplicating a simple solution here. And I think we have a correction for now, but if you really want to implement this now, and you think we really need to implement this now, first of all, we need to add more things here. We need to have a from state.
No, the from state is the prior state.
Oh, and what's the prior state? Well, let's imagine just a simple example, the job application. You have create, and then you have accepted or rejected.
Yep.
If for some reason you go back into accepted, which was the state that you had before?
The one who's immediately in time ordered sequence, the record immediately before that, the final one.
So you're going to rely on this will grow the SQL query that we have there.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's all right?
It's not going to be all that complex. Otherwise, we can, if we put from and to, then every record will have duplicate, will be duplicating information everywhere. So the next records from will be the prior records to, right? I mean, that doesn't seem really clean to me.
So you're saying that to return the previous state, you have to do a query to get the state, and then do another query to get the state before that state that you're just in.
Well, you're inventing some requirement there that I haven't come across yet.
No, I'm just looking at the structure that you have, and this is a pitfall in the structure that you have, because it's okay if you have just simple. I don't know. I see this growing into a very big thing, and I don't know if by just leaving one column out we're saving anything, and I don't think so. Or if we are duplicating anything.
What do you mean leaving one column out? Not sure. Except
for example, the from state.
Oh. Well, an entity that uses this, like say job, it'll have many state changes, and when it fetches, it'll just order it by time, and then it will be able to arrange it. And we're not driving logic off this. This is, as far as I'm concerned, really for display purposes. And eventually, we can use this for reporting and auditing if need be, and I'm sure we will, because he'll want to know all this stuff, right? So you want to add the from and to this, I guess, huh?
First of all, I'm trying to understand this.
So I didn't put a state change from because, again, either I have a prior record in time ordered sequence, and that's the prior state change before the current state change, or if I don't have, if it's the first record, then that's how it was born. It was born as whatever that state is. Now, if we had a state change from, then when it's born, state change from would be null or nil. State change to would be the state it assumes when it's created. That's fine. I have no problem with that. You think it'd be better to put a state change from as well?
There are two things that I don't agree with this structure. First of all is the lack of the from, and the second one is the fact that we're putting strings into the database here. Those are the two things that I really don't like here. I
Well,
understand that we can do this by we can get the previous state having the current state, but this will only increase. And if we want to show something like an history of changes, we want to have a from and a to for some reason, we'll have a lot of a lot of work and a lot of queries to the database that are not really necessary. And the simple fact that it's a string and the string can change and it's pretty easy for a string to change makes me not like this, because every time that we change a string that's a state, being it what it be, we'll have to do a migration that changes all the table, change all the table from one name to another.
no, I don't see that. I think if we're driving code logic by grabbing these records and based upon the string itself, we convert it to a symbol and we switch on some code logic. If we do that, we're doing the wrong thing. This is simply a state change log. In fact, maybe that ought to be the name of the table, state change log rather than state change. That's all it is. You can't rely upon it. And, if we're calling the string for a job application to be accepted, we're calling accepted. Let's say later on we change the string in our code to be job accepted rather than just accepted. Who cares? We don't have to fix history. It's pretty clear when you see the history, what accepted means when you're talking about a job application. And who cares if it's accepted in some period of time and after a certain date changed to job accepted? I don't care. It's just reporting. The user can interpret that correctly. This is not driving code. You can't rely upon the values state change to or from to drive code logic.
From the moment we are doing reporting over it, we need to rely on it.
Yeah, we rely upon timestamps being correct. And in the context of the entity we're talking about, the string should make sense. Talking about a job, I shouldn't have a state change to for a job that says second base. It needs to be a string that makes sense. If it says created, okay, I see that. If it says revoked, I see that. If it says filled, okay, that all makes sense to me. And I can see it in a history, on a view, on a screen. It's all human readable and interpretable. As long as the strings obey that, then we're good. It's just a log. That's all it is.
I don't know.
Well, do you want to think about it? Maybe that comes. I see this as a significant problem for us, and it's going to get bigger as we really get into extending our models that we have now. We're already broken. We're trying to track state changes for job applications and jobs. And when we build something for Chet, he has something in his head Friday about, I want to see the history of this job seeker and what we've done for them and where they are now and where they've been. We're going to have to start tracking some kind of status change for the job seeker. Now that's different because we don't really have valid formal states for a job seeker. We just have strings that we don't switch any code logic off of, and maybe that's okay.
I don't know. I have to think about this because I'm not convinced. So I'll think about this.
Okay. All right.
We'll talk.
Fair enough.
Okay. So anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll let you leave now, and we'll talk tomorrow. Okay.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Bye.